Welcome to the DVS presentation to the Treasurers and Chief Financial Officers within the communities of the Commonwealth. The objective of this presentation is to familiarize the individual within the community who is responsible for reviewing and approving the expenditures made by the Veteran Service Officer, the VSO. At the end of this presentation, the Treasurer, CFO, will know how to review the monthly expenditures, certify the expenditures to DVS, and review the reimbursable amount. WebVSMIS, pronounced WebVSMIS, is a web-based system developed to assist the VSO with calculating and tracking monthly benefits to the Chapter 115 recipients within the community. The WebVSMIS system replaced the paper-intensive process where the VSO had to mail all requests to DVS for processing. The system has reduced the turnaround time for requests from up to a year to no more than a few days. This system has also reduced the need to copy documents to near zero. With the implementation of the paperless certification process, the paper required by DVS will be reduced to zero. The following slides will show both the required documentation and the steps that you and your VSO will follow to ensure your community is reimbursed the full 75% of the expenditures made. Although the process is paperless, there are various forms required to ensure successful reimbursement. These forms are the VS1, the new application or reapplication; the VS21A, request for authorization of reimbursement; the VS5, summary of expended benefits; VS6, detail of expended benefits; the VS7, summary of reimbursable benefits. The VS1 and the VS21A processes are exclusive to the VSO, but are shown to provide an overview to the financial personnel. Confidentiality notice. Personal health information, or PHI, is required as part of the benefit process. This is covered by numerous regulations including HIPAA. This information is not to be disseminated by the VSO to anyone other than DVS personnel. DVS personnel are covered by HIPAA regulations, can review the information, and make reimbursement decisions based on this information. DVS will review the benefits expended, match the amount to the supporting documentation, and authorize valid expenditures. DVS will not reimburse any expenditure that is not valid under the regulation or law. The VS1 new application. This collects the basic demographic information to determine eligibility. This is used primarily as a checklist by the VSO to collect the appropriate information required to calculate the appropriate level of benefits. The VS21, request for authorization of reimbursement. This is the primary financial document used by the VSO to request and get authorization for reimbursement from the state for expenditures made. The left image is the calculations page of the VS21A. The header information and certain demographic items are collected from the VS1. The VSO is required to complete the income portion of the VS21A to determine the appropriate level of benefits. The system automatically calculates the benefits payable based on the maximum budget, demographic data, and income. The system determines the maximum amount available. The right-hand image is the actual request for the authorization of reimbursement. The VSO must enter the benefit expended in the month in which it was expended. Certain benefits, such as ordinary benefits, fuel, and recurring medical expenses, can be requested for future periods. Medical benefits and some one-time requests must be requested in the period in which the expenditure was made. It is critical that the expenditures recorded on the VS21A match the expenditures recorded on the city or town warrant. Benefits expended and recorded on the VS21A are automatically transposed to the VS5 and the VS6 monthly certification. If it is reported on the VS21A, it is understood that the community has made these expenditures to the recipient. DVS authorization. The authorizer of record for your community will review the requested benefits, the supporting documentation, and any additional comments. After completion of the review, the authorizer will authorize, modify, or deny benefits. If benefits are authorized, there is no further action required on part of the VSO. After certification, the community will receive 75% of the authorized amount as a reimbursement in the appropriate payment cycle. If benefits are modified or denied, the authorizer must make the appropriate comment referencing the regulation or law that caused the reduction in benefits. All notes made by the authorizer are automatically transposed to the VS7 for further review. The request for authorization, VS21A, can be modified using the amend process if benefits have not been paid by the community. The VSO can modify the amount reported on the VS21A, which will match the amount DVS will allow as an authorized expenditure. If the benefits have been paid by the recipient and DVS modifies or denies the benefits, the VSO cannot make changes to the request for authorization. The amount paid must match the amount shown on the warrant and the VS5 monthly certification. If changes are made, the documents will no longer reconcile. The VS5/VS6 monthly certification. Upon closing a month, the VSO reports the amount expended in veterans benefits to the financial organization of the community. The treasurer certifies, under penalties of perjury, that the amounts reported are true and correct. To ensure the community receives the full 75% reimbursement, the financial group must review with the VSO the expenditures made for veterans benefits. If there are any discrepancies, they must be resolved prior to the submission of the certified documents to DVS. Per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 115, Section 5, the community has 30 days from the end of the period in which to submit all the paperwork to DVS. The VS5 is the summary of benefits paid to recipients of Chapter 115 benefits in your community. The VS5 is also the form used to send to DVS certifying the amounts expended are true and accurate. The total expenditures must match the amount on the warrant for the same period. Any discrepancies must be resolved before certifying and submitting to DVS. Discrepancies found after closing and certifying the period are difficult to resolve. Once a period is closed, it requires DVS management to reopen the period. The new version of WebVSMIS allows the treasurer or CFO to electronically sign and submit this form. The VS6 is the detail of expenditures made to the recipients of Chapter 115 benefits. Each recipient is listed with the amounts for each category shown. Each row and column are summed for convenience. Each category is automatically tallied and transposed to the VS5. The certification summary. The VS6 is the detail of all the expenditures made to the recipients of Chapter 115 benefits for the period. The VS5 is the summary of expenditures made for the period. This is also the form used to certify to DVS the expenditures are true and accurate. DVS cannot overemphasize the need to match the warrant for the period with the VS5. The VS7, Summary of Reimbursable Benefits. This is a summary of what the community can expect for reimbursement after all the benefits have been processed. The VS5/6 certified expenditures is the amount certified as expended from the VS5. The disallowed amount is the amount that DVS has determined not to be valid per regulation or law. The specifics for the disallowance is detailed in the disallowance report at the bottom of the screen. The 75% approved is the calculation of 75% of the certified amount minus the disallowed amount. For most communities, the 75% of approved will equal the total reimbursement. Less carryover is a seldom used function where the community owes the Commonwealth repay benefits from a recipient within the community. Smaller communities may receive a large settlement from a recipient of benefits as a repayment. If the community does not have enough expenditures to cover the repayment, then it is carried as a balance. DVS no longer requires the community to make repayment to the Commonwealth in the same fiscal year. It may take months to repay an outstanding balance if the community does not have many Chapter 115 expenditures each month. The treasurer or CFO may want to keep note of any large carryovers. In summary, this is a very seldom used function of the VS7 reporting process. Most community financial groups have access to the virtual gateway already. However, to access WebVSMIS, VG requires your assigned username, first name, last name, middle initial, personal ID number, which is usually the last four of the SSN, the 2-digit month and day of your birthday, your email address, and your work phone number. The information supplied will set up your individual account into WebVSMIS. The next section of slides will show you how to electronically access WebVSMIS, process the monthly certifications, and review the summary of reimbursable benefits. After logging in, you will receive a screen similar to the one shown. However, you will have a different list of business services available to you. Select or click on the Veteran Services Management Information System line. You will then be directed to WebVSMIS. It is a two-step process to access the certification and review screen. Please select Reports, General Reports, Monthly Status. This is a cascade menu tree, which means when you make a selection, you will be provided with a second selection. After you select Monthly Status, a new screen will appear. The selection will display only your community and a screen button labeled Get Status. This is the main screen that the Treasurer, CFO, will use to view and certify the monthly Chapter 115 expenditures. The Treasurer, CFO, can also review various reports from this screen to verify the 75% reimbursement to the community. Please note that the VS5 approval currently has the name of a DVS staff person. This column was previously used to record when the signed document was received by DVS. Going forward, the name of the Treasurer, CFO, will be in this space. Also note that you will only be able to review reports starting in May 2009. This is when DVS converted the database to WebVSMIS. The month column. This is the period which the benefits were expended. The month is available up to the current calendar month. The VSO close date is the date in which the VSO has completed all financial transactions for the month in the left-hand column. Once the VSO closes the month, they are unable to make any further financial transactions. This is used in conjunction with the VS5/6 column. The VS5/6 column shows the status of the month or period. If the VSO has closed the month, the status will show as finalized. If the month has not been closed by the VSO, then the month will show as draft. In this example, the last month finalized and closed by the VSO is June 2010, and they closed the month on August 11, 2010. Please note that you can print the VS5, VS6 with a status of draft. However, the printed copy will have a draft watermark. Changes can be made to the period while the month is in draft status. The VS5 approval column is the electronic signature of the Treasurer or CFO after they have reviewed the expenditures by the VSO. By selecting or clicking this button, the community is certifying to DVS the expenditures are true and accurate. It is recommended that the Treasurer, CFO, review the draft copy of the VS5, VS6 with the VSO prior to the VSO closing the month. By reviewing the draft copy of the VS5, VS6 with the VSO prior to closing the month, the community will verify that all expenditures have been properly recorded. If there are any discrepancies, the VSO can resolve these before closing the period. The VS7 report was explained on a previous slide. The VS7 column provides the Treasurer, CFO, with a copy of the summary of reimbursable benefits. This provides an overview of the expenditures, any disallowances, and the 75% reimbursement. The status will be pending until the VSO closes the month, the VS5 is certified by the Treasurer CFO, and all requests for authorization of reimbursement, the VS21A, are processed by DVS. The quarterly amount is the total reimbursable amounts of the 3 months prior of the fiscal quarter. This is the amount the community can expect to receive in reimbursement. This number represents the 75% of the authorized amount. This is the payment schedule for the Chapter 115 reimbursements. The community can expect to receive the reimbursement in the next disbursement check immediately after the end of the quarter. This is a copy of the Virtual Gateway required form to complete access to WebVSMIS. The next slide will explain the sections you are required to complete. First name, middle initial, last name. The 2-digit month, 2-digit day of your birthday, and your work phone number are self-explanatory. The 4-digit PIN, personal ID number, is usually the last 4 of your SSN. Virtual Gateway User ID, if an existing user. This is the username you use to log in to Virtual Gateway. It is critical that you spell it exactly as it looks when you log in. Work email. This is the email address that Virtual Gateway will send you verification that you are activated in the WebVSMIS system. You have to respond to the activation notice to get access. This concludes the presentation for the treasurers, CFOs of the community. If you have any questions that your VSO cannot answer, please feel free to call DVS. You can reach us by calling 1-617-210-5480 and asking for any operations personnel. Thank you.